Hello, welcome to Financial Insider Weekly. I'm your host, Michael Gray, CPA. My guest today is Phil Price. Phil is an enrolled agent. He's licensed to represent clients before the Internal Revenue Service, but more importantly to me, Phil is a pension consultant. He has his own company called the Price Company. He's had his own company for about 9 years, and he's been in the pension business for 21 years. So welcome, Phil.
Hi.
Thanks for being with
Sure.
me here today. So Phil and I are going to talk today about retirement plans for closely held businesses. And I guess also I want to remind you folks that this is kind of a big area. There's a lot of details as far as what we're talking about, but we're going to hit some highlights so that you have some ideas and understand some basics related to this, and then go from there to talk to pension consultant, tax consultant. So with that, Phil, I'm going to go ahead and get started with our first question.
Okay.
So why is retirement planning important for the owner or owners of a closely held business?
Well, there's a few different reasons why it's important to a business. One of them would be to offer a complete benefits package, beyond just health insurance and other types of things. That way you're competitive in the marketplace as far as getting good employees. A lot of companies today, when you ever see an ad or whatever, it says,
right,
benefits offered, 401k plan, that type of thing is listed there. Another reason is that the monies that are put into a qualified retirement plan are tax deductible, both for the employer and, if allowed, for the employees to put in, they're also able to take a tax deduction for that.
Yeah.
The money also that's invested is able to accumulate tax deferred. You don't have to pay taxes on it as it goes along. You get the full advantage of the income that's generated inside the fund. And also, it's something that, as an owner, you can, in different types of plans, put away a substantial amount of money instead of having to pay taxes on it and
right,
out of your profits, and you benefit from it.
Okay. So I guess that's one thing to highlight. The last point that you made is that there is a potential for the business owner to put some substantial amounts aside for themselves. And so there are ways that that you can focus on the business owner as far as being able to put higher amounts, I guess we should say.
There's a variety of different plans that you can use.
Yeah. So let's talk for a few minutes about the different types of plans. What are the basic types of retirement plans?
Well, I guess the most basic, and that's more on an individual level, is what everybody's heard of, an IRA, individual retirement account. Pretty much anybody out there that has some income can go set up an IRA and put up to $5,000 in, and if they're 50 and over, they can put an extra $1,000 in. That's on an individual basis. Anybody can sign it up. You don't have to have it signed up at a business. The next, I guess, more complicated one would be what's called a SEP IRA, a Simplified Employee Plan. It's a real simple employer plan where the employer funds it. The employee doesn't put any money in, and but it has some of the same limits as a profit sharing plan, a qualified plan, but it's meant for owners to be a simple plan and not have to have an administrator or anything like that. The limits are similar to that of a profit sharing plan, which is $49,000 as far as a yearly limit goes. But there's different coverage issues. You have to possibly cover a lot more employees, because anybody that makes over $550 gets put in the plan. Yeah.
So you don't have very much flexibility with a SEP type plan.
No. I mean, you have to follow the rules, and you're kind of on your own. You set it up and you have to administer it, and then the monies that go in are 100% vested. What's called vested, meaning the employee has a right to the money at any time.
Right.
And basically, once the money's put in, it's in an IRA, and
Yeah.
an employee can go take it out, which is kind of a con for that
Yeah.
if they're not willing to save their money for themselves.
Right.
The next type of plan would be a simple. It's like a 401k. It has a few lower limits, and so you're not able to put as much money away. The maximum is $11,500 for a deferral out of your income, and $2,500 more if you're 50 and over. And the employer has some mandatory contributions that it has to make for that. The next one would be a profit sharing plan. That's a very flexible plan, just like the SEP. Again, it's flexible. Anywhere from 0 to 25% of eligible pay, dollar amount maximum $49,000 in an account.
That you can make as a contribution each year.
As a contribution, yes, each year. And then a 401k plan, which everybody talks about, is a profit sharing plan that allows an employee to put money in out of their paycheck.
Right.
It also allows the employer to match a certain amount, and that's an incentive to get the employees to put money in, that if there's a match there that the employer can put in. Also under profit sharing plans, there's a variety nowadays, as opposed to 15, 20 years ago, there's a variety of formulas that you can use. You can give everybody the same percentage, give people the same dollar amounts, but you can also set up by employee classes. And that's a place where you can give different employees different levels. There are some minimums and there's some testing that has to be done. But an important thing is that the employer could put away a substantial amount for themselves, the limit, and lessen the expense for the employees in that particular way. It's based on age. It works best with older owners and that type of thing.
So there's actually a legal form of discrimination, if you will, as far as how much that an owner or whatever could put aside for himself as opposed to the other employees, whereas with the SEP, you don't have the same sort of
it's all the same
flexibility.
percentage, whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and you say discrimination, but like I said, it's based on age. And when you think about it, somebody that's closer to retirement needs to put more money in to have that same pot of money at age 65 if they're starting at age 55 or 60,
right,
as opposed to somebody who's 25. They have a lot more years to put money in. So it is balanced in that manner, but the dollar amounts may come out a little bit different on that.
Right.
And then that kind of leads into, kind of the basis of what that class allocated is that another plan is a defined benefit pension plan.
Right.
That's your classic pension plan. That's the one that
Mom
in the old days
and Dad used to have. I guess
that Dad used to have, and you get the gold watch and the pension and that type of thing, and it pays you a benefit, a monthly benefit at retirement.
Right.
It is mandatory, so that is something that has to be considered if you're in a business that changes up and down as far as your profit availability to make a contribution. You have to be aware that a defined benefit pension plan is mandatory. You have to fund it every year.
Yeah, so when we say mandatory, what we really mean is that you do have to fund it every year.
Yep.
And so it's a very serious commitment when a company decides to take on a defined benefit plan, because you are funding that benefit. And so, as I understand, there's an actuarial computation that's made.
Right, there's an additional professional that has to be involved called an actuary. Actuaries are math scientists, I think.
Yeah.
And they're the same people that calculate premiums for life insurance and health insurance. And in this case, they basically they calculate the contribution or the premium that has to be put in for the defined benefit plan to meet the benefit payments at retirement.
Right. Okay. And the defined benefit as far as who it's appropriate for nowadays, because really